If coffee suddenly makes you feel anxious, jittery, exhausted, or completely wired after 40, coffee might not actually be the problem because coffee didn't create the issue. It reveals what's already going on inside your body. It's like turning on a bright light overhead in a messy, messy room. The light didn't create the mess. It just made it impossible to ignore. Welcome to the You Being You podcast. I'm Stephanie Hutchins White, and I help women over 40 understand what their body is actually trying to tell them so they can stop guessing, stop fighting, and finally feel like themselves again. Because your body isn't broken, it's communicating. So let's get into it. Everyone keeps blaming the coffee, but what if it's not the coffee after all? Because now you understand how to start listening to your body, let's look at one of the most important things people love to blame. And yes, it's our beloved coffee or our tea, whatever it is that's giving you that caffeine hit. Because if you're many women over 40, over 50, and you feel like lots of things, including coffee, have suddenly turned against you, and I know how it is. Especially for diehard coffee fans or lovers like me, tea lovers like me as well, to see and really feel that something like coffee has turned against you. It's like you used to drink it and it felt amazing, right? It would hit your system. You'd wake up in the morning and it gave you focus. It helped you feel happy, actually. It even kind of jazzed you up and it really energized you. But now something has changed. And if you're like many of us, you feel like maybe it's making you a little more jittery than before. You're kind of noticing that. Maybe you're even noticing you're a little anxious. And you notice that if you don't cut yourself off fast enough, you end up, talking a million miles a minute. And you can sometimes flip into feeling like you're exhausted at 2 p.m. So it's natural for all of us to start thinking that maybe I need to cut back on the coffee, or even worse, cut it out altogether. And I've done it. I've given up coffee 5 or 6 times myself. I've done it for 3 pregnancies. And other times when I just felt like I needed to do a cleanse or a reset, I cut out the coffee for a brief moment in time. And I did actually give up coffee one time for about a year and a half. But here's the thing. Coffee didn't suddenly become the problem because there's often something else going on here. And I know if you're like me, and like the rest of us, you're doing all the right things. You're probably eating better. You're trying to sleep more. You've set up an evening routine to try and sleep better. You have breathwork sessions. You do EFT tapping. You do all sorts of things for you to be healthier. You pay attention to what you eat. You pay attention to what you watch on TV, what you consume even. And now your beloved coffee feels like it has turned against you. And it's so frustrating. Because it used to work, right? It used to work. And you've made so many great changes already. And suddenly, here is a new one popping up. And I know what you're thinking. What else is going to stop working? But here's the truth. Coffee isn't the problem. I know. But coffee is actually just another thing that's revealing what's already going on inside. And it's something you just probably didn't see before. It's kind of like walking into a room and turning on a bright light and you see in a messy room and you're like, oh, this is so annoying. Look at the mess in this room. The light, when you flick that switch light on, it didn't create the mess. It was already there. It made it impossible for you to ignore the piles of books or laundry you still need to put away, or maybe even the dishes that need cleaning up. We know what's going on, but a lot of us aren't willing to turn that bright overhead light on. I know. But let me ask you, have you ever walked into that messy room and then really looked around and you instantly get frustrated, annoyed even? Maybe you frantically start running around, tidying up and wondering, why can't I do a better job of keeping on top of all this clutter? And that's how I feel with coffee in my body some days. If I'm paying really close attention to how I'm responding, and you probably already know that coffee is a stimulant, right? But it doesn't create coffee. It doesn't just create coffee and give you focus and wake you up. It is actually pulling energy you already have in your body. And if our bodies are already drained, your body's system is getting drained even more. So it can drain your body even when you are well rested, when you've supported your body with good food, with good thoughts, if you've regulated your nervous system with walks in nature and meditation. Coffee can feel really great. And I know the good feelings that coffee creates. I know it all too well. It's why I've gone back to coffee after giving it up 6 times, because I remember how great it feels. But when your system is running on stress, or it's low on reserves and a little wired already, coffee doesn't feel good anymore. And it starts to turn on that bright overhead light, like when you walk into the room and you're frustrated and you see what's actually turning on. It turns the brightness like a volume button on your stereo. And it turns up, or it amplifies what is already there. Because you're actually not reacting to the coffee. You're reacting to the state that your body is already in. I know. Let me explain. In my coaching, I always start with our clues, right? You've heard me talk about this before. Simple things like your sleep, your hunger, your moods, your energy, and your cravings. And it's not random that you're waking up at 3 a.m. and you're staring at that ceiling again, thinking through tomorrow in your head or some other ridiculous loop you find yourself in. And it's not random that you crave sugar in the afternoon or after a healthy meal at supper time. And it's not random that your energy crashes at 3 o'clock. Sometimes it crashes at 7 o'clock p.m. And then you're suddenly wide awake and full of creative ideas at 10 o'clock. Those things are all connected. So instead of asking, and you're going to like this, should I quit coffee? Yay. The better question is, why does my body feel like this before the coffee even hits and after? And it's why I've created the Stop Blaming the Dryer workshop, because most women think that the dryer is the issue, just like we're blaming the coffee here as the issue. But it's actually just the most obvious place where your body is waving a flag and it's jumping up and down trying to get your attention. So in the workshop, I walk you through what's really driving those energy crashes. How can you better use your mornings to set up your afternoons? Yay to giving up those afternoon crashes or those sugar cravings. And the small shifts that actually change your energy without taking away the things you love. So if this episode is hitting, that's your next best step. And I'll share the link in the show notes so you can join me and get started in that workshop. Now, let's quickly look at one of those connections that I've already mentioned, and it's a big one. It's the 3 a.m. wake up. The 3 a.m. wake up is a nervous system response because sleep is actually a surrender moment. But if your body isn't wired for deep restorative sleep right now, it will wake you up night after night after night. So here are the 3 clues that we can look at right now. First, think back to last night. If you woke up at 3 a.m. and answer this question truthfully. How relaxed was your body at bedtime? Did you fall into bed and be like, this is going to be a great night's sleep? Were you ready for bed? Or were you tired but wired? That's a clue. Number 2, when did you stop drinking coffee during the day? Was it 10 a.m.? Was it noon? Was it 6 p.m.? Those all matter. And that's clue number 2. Okay. The 3rd clue. When did you have your first cup of coffee? Sounds kind of strange, right? How many people have asked you that before? And caffeinated tea matters too here, by the way. Was it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach? Was it before your exercise or movement? Or was it after your exercise or movement? Was it before your morning walk or after your morning walk? Did you exercise on an empty stomach or have breakfast before or after you did that exercise or movement? Those are all clues. It's like your body is leaving you kind of little breadcrumbs throughout the day, but you only look at the coffee. You miss the whole breadcrumb trail. And it might not be the coffee's fault because all 3 of these daily choices affect your evening sleep. It's crazy, right? But it's also incredibly helpful and exciting when you start to see it because none of this is random. Your body is constantly asking you one question. It's trying to get you to answer this one question. Am I safe or am I under stress? It's kind of like your body has the dimmer switch, not the on-off switch, but a dimmer switch. And when you wake up, have coffee on an empty stomach, run into your day, maybe even exercise without fuel, you're cranking up that dimmer switch all the way up. And by the time you get to your afternoon, there's nowhere for your nervous system to go except to switch the light on and sometimes crash in the afternoon or run to sugar to switch the switch back on. And this is where research actually backs this up. Dr. Stacy Sims, who studies women's exercise physiology in particular, talks a lot about how different women are when it comes to things like fasting and coffee and exercise. One of the biggest things that she talks about and that she highlights is women don't do well in a fasted, stressed state, especially as we get older and we don't have our stress response hormone estrogen as much. So I'm going to repeat that. Women don't do well in a fasted state. Did you hear that? My intermittent fasters or stressed out state people, especially as we get older. Because when you skip food and you drink coffee first or exercise without fuel, your body reads that as stress. And a lot of us think, I'm not stressed out, but we may be dropping little breadcrumbs throughout the day that build up stress in our bodies without us even being aware of it. So often we don't see the stress in the small choices that we're making. And that affects your cortisol, which can go up along with making your blood sugar drop faster, making you hungry and, yes, triggering those sugar cravings. Your system then goes into the wired, tired state, not just because coffee is the problem, thank goodness. It's the coffee plus the no fuel plus a stress system. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. You know, I talk about the fire element and the gasoline just makes it blaze like crazy. This is why something as simple as adding protein before coffee or before exercise can actually completely shift how you feel, even something small. And because according to Stacy Sims' research, having protein before training helps stabilize your system and reduces that stress response. And as we move into our 40s and 50s, and as I mentioned, we don't have as much estrogen, which is our stress shield, we actually need more protein and better timing to support our energy and our recovery, which is why we are noticing it now even more than ever. So instead of thinking, I need to quit coffee, try this instead, and you're welcome. What if I supported my body before I stimulated it? And suddenly, coffee doesn't feel like it's working against you anymore because now your body isn't already on edge when it hits. And this is the part I want you to hear clearly. There's nothing wrong with you. Your body didn't suddenly become sensitive or broken. It just shifted a little. And what used to work isn't working anymore. Not because you're failing, but because your body needs something different now. So maybe it's eating earlier. Maybe it's adding protein in the morning before your first cup of coffee. Slowing down your mornings instead of rushing into them. Supporting your nervous system before stimulating it, before exercise, and definitely before coffee. Small shifts, big aligned changes. So no, you don't have to quit coffee. You're welcome. But you do want to understand why your body is reacting like it is. Because that reaction, that's the clue. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, yep, this is me, but I don't know what my body is actually trying to say, that's exactly where I'd start. Go to the Hidden Clues quiz. It'll show you where your body is right now and what it's asking you to support first. And it's going to take out all that guesswork and all the worrying and the wondering if you're doing it right. And if coffee and energy crashes are your thing, go and check out the Stop Blaming the Dryer workshop. And remember, your body isn't working against you. It's trying to get your attention. You just have to know how to listen because it's all about you being